Hello, everybody. I first want to apologize for my absence. I kind of was struggling with imposter syndrome and my new job and some other things. And so it took some time. Had to figure out where I was going, what I was doing, but here I am and I'm back and I'm going to power through. So I have a story I'm going to read. But first, I wanted to kind of talk about a couple of things that kind of have pushed me to really get back into this. One of the things is a lot of my friends are just really struggling. They're struggling with standing up for themselves, they're struggling with the job market. And one of the things that I struggled with as well, especially in my new position, is when we start like a new job or we join a team, we always want to try to do what they do to succeed, right? So, like in my position currently, I am in a sales position and it's nothing I've ever sold before. It's things I've used before. But I kept trying to like do what everybody else was doing. And then I had to sit there and go, they hired me for me. They didn't hire me because I could be a lot like Jane Doe or John Smith. And so I've been telling a lot of people, like, they hired you for you. Like, there was something they saw in you and they wanted you to do what they're doing. So I just want to tell people that if you have somebody that you're working with or something that just doesn't quite seem right or it doesn't feel right, like talk to people, talk to your coworkers, talk to your boss, talk to your supervisor, somebody, right? Because somebody there is going to want to hear what you have to say and somebody probably has already had this conversation. And so I just want to keep encouraging people to stand up for themselves, and communication is key. Communication is what works in an office, it works at church, it works in the community, it works when you volunteer. If something doesn't feel right, say something. And they'll either tell you why it has to be that way, or they'll be like, hey, that's a great idea, or a good point, or something. So if you are struggling with something or you have something big going on, talk to somebody about it. Find somebody. Find a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, something. Talk it out, get your feelings out, and then figure out where you're going to go from there. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my 2 cents for the day. I also am going to start doing like in the wild type of situations. I've seen a couple places I've gone, and there's just things that have happened that I either want to praise because it went well, or how I would do it differently. One scenario that I will give you is I was at the mall last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago, and this customer was just not being nice to the associate that was helping her. And she was not going fast enough. She wasn't doing this, she wasn't doing that. But the associate stayed composed, stayed professional, stayed courteous, stayed polite the whole time. And when they were done, you could kind of see after the lady walked away, like they were shaken. And so I said to her, I said, you handled that wonderfully. Take a breath, take a walk. I can go to another rep, I can go to another cashier, but I just wanted you to know that you didn't deserve that, that they were having a bad day, but you handled it amazingly. And when you see things like that, it doesn't necessarily make a difference to say something to the lady that's berating the employee, which in some cases I have said stuff like, why? Like, are you okay? But in this case, it was just one of those, they needed to know that they were okay, that they handled it correctly, and that they were courteous and professional. And so when you see those, say something, because they could just be having a really bad day, and you saying that could validate, because I know we've all been in the position where you think, could I have done it differently? What could I have said differently? And so I always tell people, if you see something great, if somebody handled something great, go say something. Give them the props, because if you were in that situation, you would want somebody to tell you that you did it correctly. So this is going to come from r/work advice, and it's posted by Smokey Jones 889. And it's the subject is, or the title is, I keep getting asked to bail out my old department and it's soul crushing. Been there. So let's see. All right. Almost 2 years ago, I put in for a promotion to lead my old department, and my coworker got the promotion over me. I'll admit it stung real bad, as I had more experience, was liked much more across all of the departments than my coworker, but I suppose that's just how it goes sometimes. Almost immediately, I could tell she could not handle the role and was struggling big time. I thought it might be growing pains from the new position, but after a few months, I knew things wouldn't get better, so I left. I transferred to a different department, same employer, to lead a team that had been supervisorless for about 8 months. And while it was a lateral move, no raise, there is much more potential to move up. I want to put a pause in this because I've had the experience of people think they want a position because they think the position holds a certain amount of power, but they don't genuinely know what that position does or holds. In my longest tenure and my highest position I've ever held, so many people in management thought they wanted my job. Kept trying to get me fired, crap after crap, stupid stuff. And then after I quit, after I left, I was getting text messages for a couple of months after saying, I had no idea what all you did. So it's one of those things where if people want a leadership position because they want power over people, they're not going to succeed in that leadership position for long. If people want a leadership position because they want to make things better, which genuinely is all I've ever wanted. Again, it's kind of along the lines of, I call it accidental management path, where I never intend. I just always want to make things better, and I always want to help improve things, and I always want people to be happy and feel safe and comfortable. And I know that it's work, and oh, you're not supposed to be happy, blah, blah, blah. No, because if you're miserable, you're not doing a good job. If you're miserable, you're not invested in the job. You're not going to grow. You're not going to do anything. You're not always going to love your job. If you love your job, hold on to it like it's your firstborn and you can't live without it, because you can't. But if you love some aspect of it, your coworkers, your paycheck, something in there is driving you every day. Otherwise, you just fall into the rat race and you never grow. You never do anything. So you have to have an element of enjoying your job. That being said, make sure that when you are going for promotions, or the people above you or around you are trying to get a promotion, that they're doing it for the right reason, that they're doing it because they want the team to succeed. Anyways, so he says, I'm doing great. I've completely turned this team around. My new supervisor loves me and morale is great. Since leaving, my coworker has completely run my old department into the ground. Been there. They are about 6 weeks behind on the deliverables and are a constant roadblock to all the other departments. It is very obvious that the wrong person was selected to run the department, and I was what made that department run so well. Now on to the venting / advice. I've been asked to help clear their backlog twice since I left. Once when I first left to help with the transition, which I guess is fine. and a second time a few months later. The first time I helped, I didn't get any extra compensation or recognition. The second time I got I got recognized at a meeting, but again, no compensation. During the second time, my old coworker micromanaged the heck out of me, which is wild since I didn't work for her and was doing her a favor. It was awful. I told leadership that I would not help them anymore without compensation and some ground rules. Well, this week I was just asked to help them out again for a third time. I told them I'd only do it for extra money, which is really good. Um, if you're ever in a position like this, it is okay and reasonable to do it like a consulting. I would love to do a consulting fee. I would love, and in this case, honestly, what I would have done is I would have gone to leadership and been like, listen, I don't mind helping them out, but what if we like come together and figure out how to get over their speed humps and streamline this department, right? Obviously, you need my help multiple times. So, my team's doing great. It's fairly self sustaining. Let me come over and give some pointers and help get that team running well, right? Instead of doing it for them, walk them through it. Well, let's see. Have you done this? Have you done that? Uh, well, this week I was just asked, blah, blah, blah. I told them I'd only do it for extra money and if my coworker would basically just leave me alone and let me help. They agreed, so we'll see. It's just so frustrating that I keep getting asked to bail them out when leadership clearly made the wrong decision on picking her to lead the department over me. It also seems like she's not being held accountable for basically being terrible at her job. It's nice that I'm getting extra money this time, but it's a constant reminder that I should have gotten that promotion, and it's just wearing me down. Any advice for when I inevitably get asked to help them a fourth time? Short of just flat out saying I'll only help if you fire her and give me my position, or give me her position, which should have done. There is an edit, and then I'll go to a couple of the responses. Edit, thanks for all the input and advice. This will be the last time I help out my department. I have my current supervisor's full support, which I was going to mention. That's huge. If you have somebody willing to back you up and say, this isn't okay, I've got you, then it's a little bit easier to stand on your own 2 feet. And he will pull the plug on this as soon as I say the word. I also have 2 meetings with leadership this week where I can bring this whole situation up, and I will be saying some of the things you all suggested below. Deep down, I knew I was being taken advantage of, but it's nice to hear you all say it. All right, so some of the answers. One option is to tell management that putting band-aids on every few months is not a good solution. Advise them to fix up the root of the problem. I hate band-aids in the workplace. And I say this because for a long time, I lived in a world of constant band-aids to the point where I finally put my foot down and I was like, you can have a band-aid for a set period of time, but then we need a solution, right? We need to stop doing workarounds. We need to fix the problem. One of the companies I worked for, we had our own internal system and our own proprietary software. And we built it. We got the engineers, the developers, whatever they are. They came in. We told them what we needed. At the time, for what the company needed the software to do, there wasn't a platform out there that was affordable to do what we needed to do because it was a healthcare DME, but most softwares for that are designed for medical practices and dental practices and that kind of thing. There really wasn't anything to support like a constant DME system. And so we built it. But with that kind of software comes a lot of bugs, a lot of issues. Well, it became very easy on the floor level in the software every day to come up with workarounds. And as I came up through management, the product developed. But then by the time I finally took over, it was all workarounds. And the devs had no idea all the issues we had. And so, again, it comes to communication. If you tell people what's wrong and you tell them what you need the solution to be or how you need the solution to work, and they can fix it. Otherwise, they never fix it, right? If you never take your car to the mechanic because it's making a weird sound, you're never going to get the weird sound fixed. And then you're just going to be like, why did it never fix itself? Um, One of the other points of that is I am the type of person where I like to know what my job and how it affects the people that are before me and the people that come after me in the life cycle of whatever I'm working with, right? So I worked for one company and it was like work comp stuff. And if you input the data incorrectly, just even like a date of injury, that throws everything else off. You can never bill that and you have to get all of the information fixed, right? So, but if we just tell people you can't do this and they don't fully understand the scope of the why, they don't understand that it's actually a big deal. In their mind, well, I'll just go in and change it later. You know what I mean? So I am very much of the talk to people. This is bothering me because it's affecting ABC. In this case, what Department A isn't getting done is causing C, D, E, F, G to not be able to do their job. So now they don't have the production and things are just getting flatlined. And so if I was in this position, I would say I can show her how to do it for a consulting fee, or you can put me in that position and I'll do it, or I could write you a P&P, policies and procedures, or a standard operating procedure on how we did it, right? And so in this case, I definitely would have gone to leadership and be like, this is the third time, and definitely done something else. Don't keep bailing them out because then she's probably taking the credit and she's just like, oh, look what I did. I finally got it together. And that's not okay. So OP replied and said, this is a director level position. And basically once you're at that level, you have to commit a crime to get fired. Now that I'm a supervisor myself, it's very obvious that a majority of the problems at my work are because of crappy leadership. One of the biggest downfalls is when the trickle down doesn't trickle down correctly. And this is the only time I think trickle down works. If upper management is living what they want you to produce, then it's automatic. The company I'm at now, I can see from the very, very, very top that what they preach at the lower level that I'm at is accurate because I can see it in effect at the top. I can see that when management says your mental health matters, and I can see them taking time off because they're living by example, it encourages me to enjoy the time off that I've earned. A lot of companies are like, no, you can figure it out. Went on vacation, they said, don't take your laptop with you. Who does that, right? Companies that care about the employees. I will say this time and time again, and I don't remember where the article came from, but people quit bosses. People don't quit jobs. So if you've got a constant turnover at a company, why? Why aren't people staying? I loved what I did for several years because I had a team that I cared about. I had a team that I fought for. I had a team that fought for me. If anybody said anything about me, even if I never heard about it, I heard about it because my team would stand up and say, that's not okay. Because I did the same for them, right? So if one of my employees messed up, it was a conversation. What happened? Why did you do this? How do we fix this? Where do we go from here? I didn't wait for somebody else to tell me that it was going on. I didn't wait for it to become an issue. Similar to when I worked for the call center and I was the director. If I listened to a call and a rep didn't sound like themselves, I would call them up and be like, what's going on? You sound awful. Like, let's talk it out. Or, they knew that they could come to me in the morning and they could say, I'm having a really bad day. Can I have 5 minutes? And we would just sit in my office and they would just complain or cry or yell. I had one, she got into a huge fight with her husband in the morning, but she needed to work. She needed the money. And so she came in and I just let her scream and cry in my office. We went for a walk around the building and then she had one of her most productive days ever. People are human, people have bad days, but when you see a pattern like this one where she clearly doesn't know her job, that's where you need to say, like, or let her fail, let her fall. If she never falls, she's never held accountable. I had that happen so many times. I would try to always be there to fix things. Okay, let me fix this, let me fix that. But then it got to a point where the bosses just saw that things were getting done. And if I gave Jane this task to do and the task got done, they assumed Jane did it. And so I finally had to sit down the bosses and I was like, they're not doing their job anymore. I'm doing their job. And so we need to fix it. Either I need to be compensated or they need to be moved or something. But if it comes to a point where the person is getting paid for a position, especially it being at a director level, that legit pisses me off. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, because they should know what's going on and they should have been trained. And so in this case, I would totally be like, can we look at the procedures? Like, can we look at how this department is being run? Because something's not right, right? And so it should 100% be okay for you to say to somebody, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable with that. Let's take another look at that. And they'll either do it or they won't. And then you see where you stand. If it's a good company and they want people to be there a while, they want tenure, then they'll listen. And if management wants to hear it and management genuinely wants to fix it, then they'll hear you and it'll be okay. So I think that this is super great. I think that it's fantastic that their supervisor has full support. I think that they should have gone to their supervisor after the first time. And in this situation, I would have said, hey, I'm really concerned about this department. These are all of the things that I noticed that we're behind. These are things that I think maybe could get implemented. And the key, email it. Have everything in writing. Email every communication. IM everything. Screenshot. Whatever you got to do. I've had points where certain employees can only talk to me in group chat because the one-on-one is always nasty. And you don't have to like me, but you're going to respect me in the office because we're all there to do a job. And so put your barriers up, put your boundaries up. You're there to do a job. You're not there to be abused. So I am kind of curious to see how this goes, and I will see if he updates us. So I'm going to end it on that one today. I'm going to start recording a few and then get some posted. I hope you all have a great day. I'm going to start doing the mismanaged in the wild. When I'm out in public and I see something, I'm going to start recording like one-offs and stuff like that and posting them. And I would love to hear from you guys. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? And I'm going to see if I can get some other people on here with me just so we can kind of talk about some stuff and just bounce things back and forth, because I feel really weird talking to myself, if I'm being honest. And I don't know. I'm going to get used to this, but we're going to do it together. I was told I need to stop apologizing, so I apologized in the beginning for my huge absence, and there are going to be some fun things to come. I got a mic. I am practicing editing software and I'm learning, and we're going to figure this out together. But the more time goes, the more I think that this message is important. So we're going to keep sharing it and we're going to see who wants to hear it. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Happy June. Yay. And I will see you guys soon.